Hey, and welcome to my review of The Revenant. I recently saw this film a few days ago now, and just wanted to share my thoughts on it because it it left a pretty large impression on me. And not too many films that have come out in the last couple of years have done that. I really feel, unfortunately, that cinema has, at least from the studio system, has kind of gone down in terms of quality and in terms of storytelling and all the factors that make up a film. But this film really struck a chord with me, and it seems to have with a lot of other people as well. So I thought I'd just give my thoughts on it. Basically, I mean, the story is based off of a true story about this frontiersman, this fur trapper named Hugh Glass, and I think it takes place in about the 1820s. So not long after the United States was officially formed, and it takes place out in the Northwest Territory, kind of the expansion after the Louisiana Purchase. So Lewis and Clark haven't explored this area yet, and it's very much like there's indigenous tribes of Native Americans and a lot of wildlife, a lot of untouched areas, and I mean it's the setting. So that's the setting of the film. And our main character is Hugh Glass, played by Leo DiCaprio, who is a fur trapper who's guiding this expedition of a bunch of men, and they're funded by this one guy, and they're basically fur trappers. So they're collecting the fur pelts from animals and selling them. I'm assuming to somebody. I don't think the film ever makes that clear because they don't really. Well, anyway, so they that's the premise of the story is we're following this group of men, and as was seen in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, Leonardo DiCaprio's character gets separated from the group and he's attacked by a grizzly bear. And he's basically, I mean, he's sliced up really badly. He barely is alive. He's drifting in and out of consciousness. They're having to carry him on this like makeshift like board that they're that they're walking him around in, trying to go up mountains and everything. And eventually, they have to leave him behind because they're being pursued this whole time by this Native American tribe, and they've got their own agenda besides just trying to get rid of these people. Um, so they leave him for dead, and Tom Hardy, who plays the antagonist of the story, I would say, his character's name is John Fitzgerald, and he plays one of these men in this group who decides to leave Leonardo DiCaprio, essentially like just bury him alive and leave him for dead. And I won't spoil anything else, but he also does something to Leonardo DiCaprio that like just traumatizes him. And then the whole movie basically is Leonardo DiCaprio trying to find him. It's a revenge story. He goes 200 miles after he's been injured, broken foot. I mean, just gashes everywhere. He's got a cut neck. It's so brutal what happens to this guy, and then yet he has nothing to go on. No weapons, no food, nothing, and he's trying to get back to this fort to find this guy. And I think so. That's just the basic premise of the story. But really, what struck me with this movie was just how raw and naturalistic it looks, and the acting is very instinctual acting. I mean, from what I read, they did a lot of rehearsals for this because this whole film was shot with natural light. And up where they were, they only have an hour and a half of the good time with the natural light. So you got an hour and a half to film each day. You got to prepare rigorously before that hour and a half to get it right. And I mean, the rehearsal time for a lot of these shots must have been unbelievable, but they pulled it off. I mean, this movie went way over budget, way over production. I think the principal photography was at least 3 or 4 months past what it should have been, but it was obviously because this was a grueling shoot, um, and it's evident on the screen because they're what these characters and what Leonardo DiCaprio's character has to go through, and it's there's no really not a lot of visual effects in this movie aside from the grizzly bear attack that I could tell. A lot of it looked really real, and putting the actors and the crew through this unbelievably grueling shoot. It's a testament to their commitment to this story. So, anyways, the things that really jumped out at me, Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was just unbelievable in this film. I he is one of my favorite actors working today. He still is. I mean, I'm shocked he hasn't won an Academy Award yet. I think he's going to for this movie, and it's deserved. It really is. He has not a lot of dialogue in this movie, but a lot of it is just with his eyes, with his body language, with the physicality of the role. You see what this man's going through, and he almost goes through like a whole life's worth of emotions over the span of like, you know, 2.5 hours. I mean, he goes through everything, and it's a lot of it isn't dialogue because it's just him. So you have to rely. The audience has to then infer what he is going through, what he's thinking about, and there's some dream sequences and some hallucinations that he has when he's drifting in and out of consciousness that deal with his Native American wife, and so you get a little bit more of backstory as to what happened, if that really did happen. I would think it did. The film doesn't lead us to believe that that didn't happen just because they were dreams, or they seem like memories in a sense. But yeah, it's so. Leonardo, Tom Hardy too, who plays the main antagonist of the film. Tom Hardy is amazing in this movie. I mean, he just knocks it out of the park with this character who is so, you don't like this character at all that he plays, but you understand what drives him. And a lot of these guys, they don't have anything. So for them, this expedition to get these fur pelts, this is everything for them, and this is everything for this character. This is where all of his this is where all of his money is put into this thing, and if he doesn't get paid, he's probably gonna starve. And you can understand. He was a desperate character. He's a desperate man, and desperate people do crazy things. But another thing that really struck me was just all the long takes and the battle sequences. There's only like 2 battle sequences in this movie. One of them is right at the beginning, like the opening of the movie. The opening shot, I think, is like about 15 minutes long, at least, and it's just a great single shot, no cutting of this horribly, violent battle between this Native American tribe and the group of main characters, the people that are on this expedition, and it's so violent and so brutal, and you can't. It's almost like sick to your stomach in a sense. Like you can't believe that how they are able to pull this off, and I mean, if you almost watching it for entertainment purposes, you kind of feel bad because it's like this stuff really happened. These confrontations, and I mean, the Native Americans hold their own too. They are brutal in how they attack and how they fight and kill a lot of these guys. I mean, the men all have guns and muskets usually, and the Native Americans have a combination of bow and arrows and some guns, but both groups have horses, so they're both evenly matched in that respect. But bow and arrows and the spears that the Native Americans have are pretty deadly in this film. So yeah, overall, in terms of like what I got out of the film and what it meant, I'm still like thinking about that because this movie sits with you for a really long time, and you think about all the imagery and the ideas, and the main theme of this film is survival against all odds, and just the will of the human spirit to get through anything and to adapt to any kind of environment that we're put into. And watching what Leonardo DiCaprio's character goes through in this film to try and survive, and with all that happened to him, being attacked by the bear, and that scene is amazing. By the way, that scene is, I don't know how they did it. It's very rare for me to watch a scene and wonder how they did something, but that scene, I don't know how they did it. Obviously, it wasn't a real bear, but they used Leonardo DiCaprio. He was actually in the scene, and it's all one take, not cut. It's about 10 minutes long. It's unbelievable. And the bear's just throwing him around like a rag doll. I mean, obviously, a person has no chance against a big adult grizzly bear. So watching Leonardo DiCaprio get basically just manhandled by this beast, it's an unbelievable achievement in filmmaking. And that's what everybody's talking about. And that's going to be talked about for a very long time, because that scene, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like that in a movie before. But anyway, going back to my overall, what I took out of the movie was again just the unbelievable resiliency of the human spirit, the will to live, and it is a good tale of revenge too. And Leonardo DiCaprio, he really does a great job at getting you to understand what this guy's going through just from this face and just from his movement. And it's not too many actors could do what he did in this movie, and it's a testament to how good of an actor he is, and he's still really young. He's only 40 years or 41 years old. Um, but yeah, if I was, the direction of the movie is amazing too, and Emmanuel Lubezki, who won the Best Director last year for Birdman, he could very well win again this year. I liked Birdman, but I think this film is a lot better than Birdman. Birdman is not for this film is I would say a little more mainstream than Birdman. Birdman is very niche in that it's a study of a breakdown of the filmmaking process itself. This movie is definitely more of like an adventure story, but not a mainstream like Hollywood adventure story. It feels like an art house indie film, which I really liked about it, but has the budget of a blockbuster movie because just of all the remote places they had to go to cost, I'm sure, a lot of money and a lot of resources. And overall, I would recommend this movie to anybody who likes filmmaking and just watching something that it has never been done before. Because this film has a lot of scenes where you're just like, wow, that's something that I haven't seen in many years or ever, like the bear attack scene. There's another scene that I won't spoil, but where Leonardo DiCaprio's in a river and he falls in this river trying to escape these Native Americans, and he actually went in the river. I mean, it's real, and that water must have been freezing. But how they were able to film that with the camera going in and out of the water below it and all around him, it was just unbelievable how they got some of these shots. And again, all with natural light. That's the other amazing thing with this movie. I mean, it's unbelievable. It truly is a once in a generation film, and it's been nominated for 12 Oscars. Not that I think the Oscars really mean anything, but that it kind of validates that this film is something special, and everybody should get a chance to see it on the big screen at least just to experience it, because it is an experience. And but it's not going to be for everybody because it's very violent. But if you like good filmmaking and good storytelling and amazing performances, practical effects, I mean, you're going to probably like this movie.